Hello, this video is intended to walk you through my Excel sheet to track your actions within EVE Online. All you will need is the EVE Online plugin as well as Excel. I would very much advise that you use Excel proper rather than the Web Excel, just because the plugin has some issues with it. It's still possible, but it will work better if you're using normal Excel. Now, what is the sheet? As it says in its name, it's a reactions, profitability and tracker to help you manage your reactions and what you process, things like that. It's broken into 4 different pages. You've got the configuration page, the information pages of all the reactions, and then a little bit of manufacturing. I'll get into that later. The shopping list, so inventory management, and then also just the maths around how many slots you need of what to produce your reactions. Because it's going to be an ongoing project, there are a couple of things that I've got some assumptions on at the minute, where I am tending on developing further, which you can see over here. But primarily, it's that the assumption is going to be that you're going to be running it with a reactions 5 level trains tune. It's only a 5-day train. It's very much worth the investment if you're going to be doing reactions. And this is just because with the maths around how much is being produced per slot, it's using 126 runs or 63 runs just because that works out to be about a week. So you could still react to market fluctuations and things like that. Now, because it's going to be an ongoing project, using this EVE ESI, it's going to be very tailored around your tune. So it won't be anything like specific to this group or this alliance. So like with myself, my characters within Goons, the stuff that's currently in the sheet is visually going to look to be Goons, but if you wanted to run it and you were in a different alliance, coalition, group, even just running this out of HiSec, just in your own sort of corporation, completely doable. I'll be walking through those steps on just the couple bits you need to adjust. Everything else is then just pulled immediately through the ESI. So it's mostly automated, very, very seamless. Now, let's just get into it. This is going to be where you will have all the important information, as well as how to prepare your reactions and affect all of your calculations. To start, I would just advise that you make sure you log into EVE Online. I would advise you do it on your main. Doesn't really matter what. This is just so that some things will populate properly, and it will affect the entire sheet. You do need to be logged into it, but it is just a very simple ESI login. If you've ever had to do anything, even like for example logging into Zkill. Now at the top we've got the structure related information. This will have the structures that you're going to be selling in, both sort of at home and then in your main market abroad. So in this case I've got Jita selected, and then we've got the structure in which we're going to be doing those reactions. You can just type them in manually or just copy it in game. So like for example I've got it pre-copied, so I've just dragged it into a box, copy, pasted. It's worth noting, because the plugin needs it to be as the name, if you're doing a player structure like this one, you need to get rid of any corp that's listed afterwards, and also make sure that there's no space between the end, just so that it reads it properly. Next section, this is just to do with the regions of which you're selling. Again, I've got my home region, which is Innsmother, and then the forge, because this is where Jita is. We'll need to do that both if you're going to be swapping it to other regions, other stations that you're selling abroad. Just make sure you change the region. This tax and transport cost related information, this is mainly based around your skills. I do intend on the future trying to get this to pull from your ESIs, but for now they are just manually typed in numbers. So if you don't quite have the skills that for example, the broker relations skill to max, adjust these accordingly, basically. Obviously, in terms of the facility taxes, that's going to be based on the structure and your alliance group, whoever it is that you're a part of. Just make sure you update that as well, and because I don't believe this can be pulled from ESIs unless you own the structure yourself. And then transport costs. This is just the collateral cost and then the actual per M3 cost. Again, using your choice of transport, you can adjust these accordingly. So in this case, I've got one of the transport groups for goons putting that information in there, and it will adjust it on the further pages. Now, this section here, you don't need to worry about too much. This should autofill based on when you've logged in. This is just a refresher. If for whatever reason the sheets break with the ESI links, it's worth just chucking a refresh in there. It's currently set to whatever, just type whatever. As long as it's not identical what you typed in before, it should refresh your sheet. This might be more handy on the web Excel, but because it will refresh the entire sheet, do give it a minute or two just to make sure everything's loading again. But otherwise, it should be okay. You've got here the making and selling locations. So this is just to do with the systems. For example, up here, I've got the lists for the drop downs. So I've got both CTAC-J and then GPLB. If I wanted to adjust my manufacturing, it'll update in there, and that'll update the other pages accordingly. Same goes for the selling location. So where I've currently got it for CJ, and then for Jita, I can just update where I'm selling it. These are just more configuration options. So if you're going to be sourcing it locally, just adjust this. So import from Jita, yes, no, export to Jita. So if you're selling them locally or selling them back in the main market, yes. Currently things are based around Jita. I do plan on putting the other major trade hubs in the future. And then these bits are to do with the price comparison of your inputs and outputs. So whether or not you're going to be using buy prices or sell prices to compare to, just for when it comes to profitability calculations. And then this last bit is just configuration of those other sheets. So when you're manufacturing fuel blocks, as you might consider making them separately as they are quite large. Obviously, you can still buy them from local trade hub, but because they use manufacturing slots, it won't impact your slots for reactions. So it is sometimes worth just making them as well yourself. Obviously, the material efficiency of that blueprint that you own for those blocks. And then this is just to do with whether or not you're making or purchasing your tier 1 reaction inputs, and then whether or not you're going to be using the alchemy reactions. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail later. Let's go into the tier 1 reactions. So this page, as I was saying, it has all of the information. So this is all of those reactions that you can do that are all sort of classified as the tier 1 reactions. These will be used as inputs on the tier 2 stage of reactions. Obviously you've got the full details here, but then you've got a nice little table just to quick access, see what you've got. It will also, easiest way is just have a look in the margin area just to see what's going to be profitable, what's not. Just a very quick glance. As mentioned earlier, we have the configuration that we can do. So as it's currently configured, we're going to be selling them in Jita, and we're like buying our input, shipping them home, manufacturing, shipping them back to Jita. Let's just say we are going to source locally. Our prices will then adjust, and obviously it's going to be more expensive to buy the stuff at home. It's now no longer profitable to make this good. So just make sure you adjust it as you go along to play around with things. Obviously you can also do it in the buy orders. So now it's going to be using the buy prices. They are cheaper. You're going to make more money. Now, with the alchemy reactions, these are similar to tier 1 reactions. They just function slightly differently. They use different inputs and produce more of one input than the other. So for example, if you were to produce the caesium cadmide, it uses scandium and cadmium in the inputs, but also produces cadmium as an output. So it produces more than it actually uses per run. But then also just a little bit of that caesium cadmide as an output. This page breaks it all down. We do have this is cheaper column to see if it's worth it at a glance. Obviously you can see the margins are quite high, but that's purely because these don't really make much of that tier 1 reaction. It's very much used for when you have lots of slots available. I will sort of demonstrate this later on. Now, if we go over to the tier 2 reactions, this is predominantly what you're going to be making and what you're going to be selling. We can use the configuration page to how we source the material. So like right now, for example, fermionic condensates, it's currently not profitable to run it because the cost to manufacture the goods or purchase them just isn't particularly there in our current setup. But if we were going to be going for a buy order, let's go back. Oh, now it's much more profitable. And if we adjust it even further, let's just say we're going to be using alchemy. It's now gone even more profitable just because alchemy can be very profitable at points. And lastly, we've got the fuel blocks. As you see, currently not worth making at all. That's just because we are importing from Kitha. We don't really want to do that with fuel blocks. They are very large for their size. They rack up quite the bill for transport costs. Maybe some of it you might want to, maybe these PI parts you might want to, but things like the liquid ozone, heavy water, stront, things like that, you do not want to be pulling that in from Kitha. You will have enough people locally that will be able to mine the ice and get that for you. Just buy those parts. However, you can always just buy the fuel blocks themselves. People will make fuel blocks everywhere, as they're always needed everywhere. And now with the shopping list, this is to sort of highlight how much you need of what input for what stage. So we've got what we need for our T1s, for our T2s, if we're doing alchemy, what our alchemy requires, and then for the fuel blocks if we're making them. This is just then the overall list of everything. This can be used for our inventory management. And then just at the end here, just a little bit of quick reading, where a lot of people will be making their sort of tier 1 reactions to make those tier 2s and sell them on in the market. Typically, you'll want to be doing the same just because there's not really the volume for that tier 1. So this just makes it a bit of easy reading. And then obviously the fuel blocks are used at every stage. Again, just makes it just for a bit of easy reading. Now, this is the inventory management. This is just a very simple copy paste from in the game. So if you go into Eve, let's just say that these were reaction inputs. Copy it straight from the game and then dump it in here. You don't have to be in the hangar. You can just do it from the personal assets. So let's just say we're grabbing it from here, copying all of that stuff, not that we need it, and then dumping it in here. It then fills, which is why there's all these extra columns as well. It's just purely just to dump it in here. But let's just say we had some Caesarean cadmide on hand. Let's just say that's how much we had. It then adjusts in here. So where for the reactions we've got preset, we would need 120,000 of them. We got that many. We now only need 67,000. So it will adjust it based on what you have stored when you dump it in here. So it's quite useful for if you are doing multiple stages in different instances. And lastly, we've got the slots math page. This is going to be used for working out how many slots you need based on how many slots of Tech 2 products you wish to use. So at the minute, I want to run 10 fermionic condensates. Because of that, 67,000 we need left. We only need 3 runs of that Caesarean cadmide now, but we still need 5 of dysprosite and fluxed condensates, as well as some promethium. Now, if we were to hypothetically change how we're going to make it, because it will still adjust all in here, let's just say we're going to be purchasing them instead, and we're just going to run them in that method. When we go into this sheet, it's nothing. We're not going to be making any of them. We only need those 10 slots for that. However, let's just say we're going to be using some alchemy. We've then got the alchemy slots in here. Now, this is what I meant by doesn't produce much. It's very much intended for if you have a lot of alts, because each alt, I believe, can at maximum have 11 slots of reactions. So if you have quite a few alts, if you're like an industry person, alternatively, if you just have friends that don't use their slots and you just want to rent them for it, you just want to pay them a little bit of money and just give them the stuff, they give you the outputs, that sort of thing. It will only update what you have in here if it's cheaper. So where we obviously have unrefined Caesarean cadmide, but regular, because it's actually not cheaper. So if we go to the alchemy, we can see Caesarean cadmide, not cheaper to be made with alchemy. It won't tell you you need to make this much in alchemy. It will be like, no, it's not worth it. Just run it the normal way. And it will just say you have 3 slots there. And then again, obviously your shopping list will be adjusted accordingly as well. If we wanted to change how much we're using, all we need to do is just type new numbers in. So if we just wanted to do that, do 12 slots of that, let's just change it back to normal normal production. There we go. So we've got our normal slots there. Now, this section here just shows you the units that you're going to be making of that good, how much that's representative of the daily volume in Jita, and then also what that means as a buy and sell value. Obviously, if you were to run multiple different types, let's just say we're doing that and that, it will then just work out how much that is overall, because chances are you're not going to be putting all of your eggs in one basket. You will be spreading it out a bit. And yeah, pretty much that is going to be it. Obviously, as I said, I do plan on making this a continuous project. I'll try and keep those plans for what's going in there. But yeah, if you have any other questions, just leave a comment below and I'll do my best to help. A link to this document will be in the description. All you'll need to do is just download your own copy, because it will be on the web Excel, but just download your own copy from that page and then just edit it from there and you should be good to go. But yeah, fly safe. Thank you.